Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are digging into the latest daily market and global affairs briefing. It's for June 27, 2025. You shared a really interesting mix of sources. We've got CBS, Wall Street Journal, Reuters, CNBC, AP, Bloomberg, quite the stack.
Yeah.
And well, our mission, as always, is to pull out the key insights, the important stuff from this snapshot of the world right now. Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff. What really jumps out is just how fast things are moving,
Yeah.
and how interconnected it all is. This briefing, it gives a pretty clear picture of market resilience, but also these big global shifts happening, things that affect your portfolio, sure, but also just, well, everyday life.
Absolutely. Let's maybe kick things off with the big picture. The S&P 500, it's bounced back, what, 23% since April? That's remarkable, sitting just shy of a new record.
Incredible recovery.
Yeah, and a lot of that seems tied to news about a potential trade deal with China. Plus, you see UBS raising its year-end S&P forecast to 6,200.
Wow, 6,200. That's
Yeah.
ambitious. It definitely suggests some strong optimism under the surface.
Right, but then you connect that to the other economic signal.
Exactly. Because it's not all clear sailing, is it? We're still seeing mixed signals, like the core PCE inflation number.
That's the personal consumption expenditures, right, minus food and energy. The Fed watches that closely.
That's the one. It came in at 2.7% year over year, higher than expected. So it does raise that question, how sustainable is this rally, especially with core inflation still kind of sticky?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? With those kinds of mixed signals, I guess you'd be watching consumer spending, how businesses are actually reacting to the tariff talk.
Definitely. Those micro-level details.
Because that often tells you more about the real sustainability. And
Wow.
speaking of companies, let's maybe pivot to some specific names. Nike, for example. They just beat their Q4 estimates.
Yeah, shares jumped, 10%? Good guidance, too.
Good guidance, but here's the catch. They're expecting $1 billion in added costs this year from tariffs.
$1 billion. That's not small change. And it just highlights the direct hit, doesn't it? Global trade policies hitting corporate strategy and, well, ultimately consumer prices.
Yeah, they're already talking price hikes, supply chain shifts.
Shows how fast geopolitics can ripple down to, the tag on your sneakers.
Yeah.
And then look at the auto sector. Quite a bit happening there. Tesla just fired its top manufacturing exec. Sales have been declining.
Right, and at the same time, Xiaomi, their new SUV, the YU7.
Oh, yeah, the launch was wild. Undercutting the Tesla Model Y by, $1,400? And pulled in over 200,000 orders in just 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Incredible number. So is this like the start of a major shift? Is Tesla really facing serious heat from these nimble Chinese competitors?
It certainly raises the question. It feels like a real challenge, especially from that market. Definitely something to watch.
For sure. Okay, so shifting gears again, the regulatory side. Big tech facing pressure. Meta might be looking at more EU fines over that payer consent model.
Right? Where you either pay for ad-free or agree to the tracking. It's controversial. And it's part of that bigger trend, isn't it? Tech regulation, data privacy, antitrust. It's global.
Seems like it. Germany is now calling for Apple and Google to look at banning that AI app, DeepSeek.
Yeah, citing data transfers to China, unlawful transfers, they say. Italy already banned it. Just shows this growing focus everywhere on sort of data sovereignty. Where does user data actually go?
It's a real push-pull dynamic, though, isn't it? Because on one side, you have all this regulatory tightening, but on the other, you have these just massive investments going into AI, like SoftBank's Masayoshi's son. He's all in on OpenAI. Planning, was it $33.2 billion in investments?
$33.2 billion.
Yeah.
And the goal, artificial superintelligence. I mean, that's not just improving AI, that's a whole different level.
Yeah.
AI smarter than humans across the board.
It's a huge bet on the future.
A massive, almost philosophical bet on a total transformation. Despite all the regulatory noise, the ambition there is just huge.
Okay, and one last thing. Quickly, but really important on the health front, Merck's infant RSV shot, Influencia, it just got key panel backing.
That's big news. The trials looked really good. Reduced RSV hospitalizations by over 84%.
Wow, 84%.
Yeah, RSV can be really serious for infants. So an effective shot like this, it could be a lifesaver, literally.
Yeah.
Reduces hospital stays, protects vulnerable kids. It's a great example of science having a real-world impact.
Definitely. So wrapping this all up, What does it mean for you, the listener? We've seen market rebounds, intense company rivalries, these big regulatory fights, health breakthroughs. It really shows just how tightly woven everything is, doesn't it? The global economy, technology, even our health.
It really does. And, knowledge is great, but understanding how to apply it is key. Think about how these shifts, trade, tech, health, how they'll keep reshaping industries, how they might influence the choices you make, and, well, impact your own future.
Yeah, a lot to chew on there, right? Okay, that's our deep dive for today. Until next time, keep exploring and stay well informed.